would say that the work in CASA shaped my identity in a few ways. Number one, it's helped me to be able to bring the level of mentorship and engagement that I feel that particularly men of color on this campus need, primarily because it's a predominantly white institution. So having grown up in the inner city of Philadelphia, I grew up in Logan, having come to a predominantly white institution and having gone to black schools all my life, and even having graduated here and receiving my master's, it was an eye-opener. But I try to take a little bit of what how I was raised and what my parents told me about who you are as a person, as a man, as an African American, and not shying away from that, bringing that confidence into the classroom, bringing that confidence into the way I carry myself, and not shying away from that. So what I try to do is to empower our students on campus through CASA to believe that they can do the same thing. That just because you're on this campus and you're a student of color, or you're deemed as a minority, it doesn't make you lesser than anybody. CASA is the Center for Access, Success, and Achievement. So our office primarily services first generation and Pell eligible students, undergraduate students on campus. So we service a lot of students who this is their first time ever stepping foot on the college campus, obviously, but also being the first college student in their family. So a lot of our students are students of color who, this is as they say, their first rodeo in this type of environment. Not all, but a lot of students. So CASA, the services that we provide is everything from programming to helping students with their academic and social needs, professional development. We have a male mentorship program. We have a female mentorship program. We advise students, and really what we try to do is to help students matriculate through their 4 years here at Villanova, because a lot of students are coming from backgrounds and not having that support that a lot of students on campus who may be non-black or who are predominantly white students may already have, or their parents may already have afforded them those opportunities. So a lot of our students come in with no knowledge about the college process at all. Not all, but some. And so they have a various number of needs in terms of academic support, emotional support, needing mentorship, needing parenting in some degrees, needing finances, scholarships, you name it. So our office is really, really awesome in the sense that, it's really a hub for students who not only are students of color, but students that can congregate amongst each other and find also their peer groups. A lot of our students have had challenges that, I think a lot of people in general have had challenges in terms of just this whole COVID pandemic. So a lot of our students, everything from just, mental health issues, just kind of like, struggling with, keeping up with the academics, kind of like that social piece, especially when we were doing a hybrid thing and when students had to go back home, that was tough for a lot of students. So I would run into a lot of issues where students, kind of just needed that motivation. Primarily because, as I mentioned, when you're servicing students who are of low income or first generation college students, maybe not low income, but a lot of our students are, students have to go back home to environments that are not conducive to learning. So you're talking about going home to the hood where you were just on a predominantly white, campus where it's green grass and restaurants around and, meals at your disposal. Your parents are not there. Now you're going back to the block where you got guns and drugs and your little sister coming in your room and your mom, yelling down the hallway. So I've ran into students who literally had to go back to the hood to study, and that's challenging for a student who, whether they're black, white, or indifferent. Because all students, I want to make this clear, all ghetto of what we understand as ghetto is not in relation to African Americans. We have students who are white students who are low income who go back to the same types of environments. So I want to get away from that stigma as well, because a lot of times we try to place ghetto, even that terminology, or poor on black people solely. But we have white students who are poor. We have white students who need scholarships, right? So, but back to the main point, is that a lot of students, regardless of where they are, they have to struggle with, that duality of trying to be educated and pursue college, where at the same time I'm dealing with a lot of social issues, right? right? And so, how do I navigate that where I have to go back home and try to study for an exam, a quantum physics exam or biology or engineering or anything of that nature, and I can't even get peace in my own house, And so that can be a challenge. I've had students that even this year and even prior years who struggle with finances, students who have all walks of life who, can't afford to pay for the next semester and they're crying. Right? And these are not just black students. These are Hispanic students. These are students who are like, man, my parents are not going to pay for it. So what do I do? Right? So dealing with those issues are really, really challenging, especially because you believe in the student. You see that they've tried. You see that they put in a lot of hard work to get to this point, a lot of times on their own effort. Black history, man, is the history of our people. It's the history of African Americans, people of the African diaspora throughout the world. It's an important history. It's a forgotten history. It's the reason why I'm wearing this hoodie, because there's so many inventions, so many things that black people have created in our society that we're not given the credit for, that's pushed to the side. A lot of times our history is looked through the lens of slavery and what we have not become. And that's a falsehood. We don't talk about the things that African Americans have created. And it's not to say, other, races haven't done anything or whatever, but we can't have it both ways, right? You can't say, black people are being too proud, but then you're not proud of black people. And so, that you can't have that duality. So my thing is, I'm going to represent my people. I'm going to represent, the proudness that I have in understanding the culture, because if you don't understand your history, then you really don't know where you're going. And I know that's cliche and we've heard that, but it's the truth. And that's why a lot of our youth from middle school, elementary, all the way to up until college, are confused about who they are and what does that mean. And so they have to try to transition through white spaces and not identifying with who they are, not having that confidence in believing in who they are and what their contribution is to society. But understanding those things that, even the things that we don't like, but understanding the totality of our story. And the totality of our story does not start at slavery. That's an American idea. That's an American history, right? But black history in America is also very, very, nuanced in the sense that we've done a lot. We've done a lot for this country. We've done a lot for the world. And a lot of that gets pushed down and pushed to the back burner. And I think we need more conversations on what black people are doing and what they have done and have created in this world and in this society. And I think we'll start looking at it differently.